So have you ever been under the weather, not feeling good, runny nose, you had a headache, maybe running a fever, and you self-diagnose yourself? You start taking cold medicine, Theraflu or NyQuil, etc., only to still feel the same effects, the same runny nose, fever, achy body, days later. Then you finally went to the doctor to find out that you really had a sinus infection. Yeah, self-diagnosing and treating the wrong symptoms. So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is what many of us are doing in our life. And of course, writing a book is part of life. Yes, for us writers. And if you find yourself stuck, overwhelmed, frustrated, cannot finish your stories, or just not understanding the writing process as a whole, it could be because you have not been able to identify the difference between a problem that you need to solve and a pattern based on your behaviors. Yes? So we'll dive into the difference between the two. So whether you're staring at a blank page, struggling to outline your story plot, or just feeling like something is missing from your work, it's easy to think that to categorize these things as a problem, something that needs to be fixed. And they are. But you ever found yourself getting over the outline and then you get stuck again at the writing sessions, having writer's block? So this could be that they are just symptoms, right? And if you continue to just give them, cold medicine for a sinus infection, they will never be resolved. It may seem like it for the moment, but today I want to speak to identifying that sometimes problems are just symptoms that are part of a pattern that you've developed over time. Now, there's no judgment here. It's a safe space here on 90 Day Author, but we do want to finish and release our works to the world. And we are human beings. That means we bring all of us to the process. So if we can work through those things that affect us in all areas of our life, we will benefit from it when it comes to our writing. So by recognizing the difference between a problem and a pattern, we could make better and more positive changes to get the results we desire. Let me give you a real life example. So you're on your way to an appointment and you get a flat tire. You believe the flat tire is the problem, when it actually is a symptom of something bigger. It is a symptom of the fact that you only deal with things when it's an emergency, when you absolutely have to. Because for 2 months, you have ignored the low pressure icon on your dashboard, and you had an opportunity to mitigate this issue and be late and miss your appointment by implementing maintenance along the way. But now, whether you have the money or the time, you still have to address a flat tire, because without it you can't go anywhere. So you've created a pattern of ignoring things, putting your head in the sand until you absolutely have no more time left, and it's an urgent. Have you noticed this maybe in your writing? For those of you that actually have written other books, maybe you don't write until the last minute because someone has given you a advance and you have a tight deadline, and you don't start writing until 3 days before it's due. Probably not delivering your best work, but you get it done, so you continue this pattern. So I can't give any better example. That is a symptom of a pattern. Now, a problem could be that you are driving and unfortunately you go through a construction site and get a nail in your tire and your tire is flat. That is a problem. Your tire does need to be addressed in order for the car to be mobile, right? That's a problem. Unforeseen. Now that we got that out the way, we understand problem, pattern, let's go forward. Okay, to reiterate, think of a problem as a roadblock. Yes? Like for instance, you can't get past the middle of your novel, or you keep writing yourself into a corner. Like, I don't even know where to go from here now that I've had my character do this. Yes? So those are things, roadblocks or problems are things that keep you from progressing. Yes? But a pattern is a habit. I'm just reiterating this, so I'm putting it into an example of a literary example. Pattern is a habit that caused the roadblock in the first place. So maybe you are a person who just sits down and start writing without an outline, or you're a person who give up when you get writer's block, saying, well, maybe it's not for me, maybe it's not meant to be, etc., or because you're too frustrated. These, my friend, are patterns that have actually blocked you in and continue to produce the same frustrating results or problems at every turn. But don't fret. So you are in control. You develop the patterns, so you also have the power to change them. And I highly suggest in life, as with writing, that you learn to identify these patterns. And then once you see your habits and where they're leading you, because the outcomes will typically be the same: frustrating, late, broke, subpar. You're going to get the same results if your behavior doesn't shift. But once you identify, then you can start making those small, incremental, and manageable changes that will lead you to a better outcome. Yes? So I'll share some common writing problems that many of you may be able to relate to, and we'll talk through those. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to implement these in your writing process, as well as take the foundation of the lesson and implement it in your life as a whole. Yes? Alrighty. Example 1. You hear many writers say, I can't finish the draft. Can't? Where do they do that at? Where do they say that at? Why you can't? Did you lose your hands or your ability to talk or be creative? Be honest. How many of you have gotten to the middle of a draft and then just stopped? It's a classic problem and a common problem. So don't feel called out or ashamed. Once again, safe space here. But let's dig deeper into what is really happening when you say, I can't finish a draft. This often happens because writers start and they don't know where they're going with their story. So you could be a person who fails to plan, right? Because you think that that's wasting time, when ultimately not planning, what they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that outline, that identifying your avatar, so you can know who you're speaking to and how you're speaking to and what stories to include, what descriptions your reader can relate to. That could be a problem, and that's a pattern. You developed a habit of not planning and just jumping in without having done any pre-work. Thus, you cannot finish a draft because you have not prepared to finish a draft. You have prepared to start writing, but you have not finished that preparation on what the middle and the end looks like. Now, instead of seeing this as a problem, we can, I can't finish a draft, you can change your approach or your perspective. Try this. Try outlining just a few key scenes before you start the drafting process. It may feel restrictive at first. I understand, I gotta do this before I start. All my thoughts, I'm gonna lose my energy. I'm gonna lose my... Sir, ma'am, write that down on a separate sheet of paper, record it in otter.ai, but then go back before you actually start the formal process of writing and just outline a few of the key scenes, okay? So it will help you. That small shift will help you and prevent you from feeling lost in the middle. It's almost like your GPS, is your guidepost. The outline lets you know, hey, okay, so I'm gonna stay on, these are my bullet points, my talking points. So this is the skeleton. Let me fill in or put meat, organs, and everything on the skeleton with my story, because now I know what I'm going to talk about from head to toe. Yes. The second and last example is, I'm always editing. And who told you to do that? Who told you to always be editing? This too is also a problem that many writers face. They have the constant need to stop and edit as they go. But stopping and doing an editing can really thwart your creative flow and leave you with problem number 1, I can't finish a draft, because you're constantly going back and editing. And when you go back and edit, you're stopping your creative flow. You're going to keep changing your story. Thus, you're never finished. So there is a process to writing a book, and there is an editing and revision phase. It is not the creative phase. Write the story after you created an outline and a writing schedule. But if we take a step back, the edit as you go problem is actually a pattern that is in alignment or shows up as perfectionism. I'm gonna let that sit in the air for a minute. Any of you familiar with that? You can't get to chapter 2 because you're so busy trying to perfect chapter 1. It's a pattern. You could be late on work projects, school projects, picking out an outfit or a look for an event, and you show up late because you're so busy second guessing yourself. Perfectionism is the enemy to completion. Stop worrying if you are good enough, if your writing is good enough. It's a pattern of behavior that you must break in order to break through. Now, to shift this pattern, try setting aside a dedicated time for revision, but only after you finish the first draft. Just trust that the writing process is about being creative, and the editing step is something that comes later. This shift in your mindset will allow you to move through your draft more efficiently. All right, so how do we move forward? I want you to just pay attention to when you get your best writing done. When are you most motivated? Is it the very first thing in the morning when the house is quiet? Is it in a corner office after lunch or during lunch? Or is it when the house is asleep at night after you've done everything? Pay attention to that. I'm not giving you an additional assignment. I'm just asking you to be mindful of when you show up to write at your best. If you struggle with doing an outline, for those of you that can't finish your draft, then maybe you just do a loose bullet point outline. Just bullet points instead of a full outline. Just something to keep you structured so you can keep going. You know what you're going to talk about. Yes? And for those of you who struggle with perfectionism, always having to edit, just remember the writing process is about your creativity, telling your story. Forget grammar, forget punctuations, just let the story flow. And then when you can do all of the editing, guess what? In the editing process, after your draft is completed, I promise you, these small adjustments will help you change the patterns that have been holding you back and eliminate or mitigate problems down the road. Because remember, those problems typically are tied to a pattern. Yes, and now that we know about it, we can see the role that we play in creating some problems. So let's have some better behavior, some better habits, some better patterns, so we actually can start, finish, and publish our book, or start, finish whatever task it is that you have in life to do. So I hope this information you found valuable. If so, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this information, because you know somebody who can identify the difference between a problem and a pattern and is holding them back from greatness. Additionally, if you would like someone to help you create your outline, your writing schedule, define your avatar, I am here. I am author and coach FMLS. You can click the link in the description below labeled "Why You Need to Write a Book" for a free 15-minute introductory chat. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to you moving past all of your pain points and getting your story out to the world. I can't wait to read it. Until next time, best of life to you all. Peace.